Just a quick one to say we do have new One Keir t-shirts available on our website. Go to britishstand.com or check the link in the description. And hello everybody, welcome back to British Stand. Guys, I hope you're all well. A live stream for you as there's some huge Reform UK news as a shock twist has emerged. And I have a feeling that a lot of the British Stand viewers will be very happy to hear this news, guys. Yes, quite a lot to unpack, especially after the last couple of days. The knife crime epidemic continues and the justice system seemingly looks like it's failing in giving out unsuitable sentences. So it's definitely time for a reform in this country. Now, that's what most people are thinking within the United Kingdom at this moment in time, as a latest poll has put Reform UK at the top of the pile. Yes, out in front by a lot there, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, fresh data from pollsters at Find Out Now has placed Nigel Farage's party 3 points clear of the Tories, while Labour has slipped to a distant third. Some 26% of Britons would now vote for reform if a general election were called tomorrow, the data says, with 23% opting for Kemi Badenoch's Conservatives, and the great news, and I still can't believe it, but 22% for Labour. In a defiant statement quashing calls for a pact between Reform UK and the Tories, the former chairman Zia Youssef said on social media, no pacts, no deals, reform is headed for government. Well, certainly recently now in the polls, now I know a lot of people don't necessarily always look too much detail into the polls, however it is a good indication of a real representation of what is going on in the country and certainly mirrors that most definitely. So as you can see there, ladies and gentlemen, Reform, well, we have seen them go joint top before, but they are well out in front in this recent poll by 3 points. That's a huge lead at this moment in time. Now, whilst people in opposite parties will try and quash these polls and say that they don't really matter. And whilst that is true to somewhat, polls do go up, polls do go down, it is a great indication of the momentum that Reform currently have at this moment in time. And again, the way that things have been going on in the country over loads of different things. I mean, you've just seen the Argentinian Prime Minister come out and savage the British government recently, Starmer's Labour government, over free speech and all these kind of things in a powerful statement at the WEF. Again, you will see that a lot of people are wanting change in this country, and I feel with a general election being in 2029, there's still an awful lot of time to really create some more distance between Reform and the other parties. But certainly very, very good reading. And I have a feeling Labour are going to fall even further behind in these polls as they do go on. Now, people are dubbing this as a shock twist. And again, I would echo that in terms of how new the party is. It's unprecedented in British politics. However, it does, as I say, mirror and echo that the people do want a change in this country. And we've seen time and time again, now with Labour in power, that the two big parties can't offer that change that is required. So as you can see, Labour still down there at 22. Not sure how in earth they've actually ever managed to get 22% of the population to still be backing them, because they are in free fall at this moment in time, and I do expect Labour to fall a little bit further behind in these polls as time, weeks, months and years go on. Hopefully not years, but again, if you're going off Keir Starmer's latest statements, he is in it for the long run till 2029, and of course wants to be re-elected again come that general election in 2029. Now for some reaction for the Reform MPs. Nigel Farage obviously took to social media following this and said that Reform leads for the first time in a national opinion poll. This is just the beginning. So yeah, the Reform leader Nigel Farage, of course, saying that this is just the beginning on this one. In terms of Rupert Lowe, he said Reform now in the clear, leading a national opinion poll. I am more confident than ever that we will outright win the general election. It is going to happen. It cannot come soon enough. So there's a bit of Reform MP's reaction to this poll. And again, you can see that the consensus from the Reform Party is that they are very, very happy with what's being reflected in their work at this moment in time and are very confident ahead of 2029. In terms of the Tories, they have put water on these polls, of course. They said that they're more focused on what matters. They're not focused on polls. They'll go up, they'll go down, and stated that we're focused on what matters, the damage Labour is doing to the economy, our schools, and our international standing. And in terms of the Labour spokesman, he stated that the Labour government is getting on with delivering plan for change. We've been clear from the outset that means making tough decisions, needing to undo 14 years of Tory chaos. But again, this poll does come on from weeks where Labour were placed neck on neck with Reform in those charts. I think we reported to you here on British Dan recently. However, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, back then they were joint 25% in terms of Labour and Reform. However, as you can see there one last time, Reform are there clear in front with a bit of daylight between them and the rest of the parties. Now, whilst there is a lot of work to be done for Reform, I'm certainly getting a consensus just from the public, not necessarily the British Dan viewers. I know where a lot of you guys stand in terms of further on the right, whether you're Conservative, Reform, UKIP, or whatever, or if you lost faith in government in general. I do think out of these parties, and again, UKIP do a good job, but in terms of something to actually take over in 2029, I would certainly say Reform are the best horse to bet on. Now, I just want to get some reaction from you, ladies and gentlemen, out there in the live chat and see what you're all saying with regard to this poll. Let's have a little look and see. Des Barker says, I'm bringing this one up. Des says, all we need is Nigel to get on with Tommy and we could have a massive win in 2029. This one's always coming up in terms of division, especially on the right. And that's what we don't want in this movement, because there's a lot of special things happening on this side of the political spectrum. But of course, I've said time and time again with regard to Nigel, that maybe just keep your mouth shut on certain subjects like Tommy. You don't all have to get on. No one's going to like everybody. But don't begrudge people, don't put people into the ground and all these kind of things, and hopefully that can stop. Tommy's doing his thing, Nigel's doing his thing, and we all want the same thing, and that's change for this country. Let's have a little look in a moment. This is, I just spoke about UKIP, didn't want to offend any UKIP members, by the way, or UKIP supporters. As I said, I very much like the movement. UKIP will roar, Reform will whimper, says Idle Spin. I'm just saying in terms of a conversation with yourself, my man, I would say, in terms of a party that's got the means necessary and the support necessary to actually go on and win a general election by 2029, I do personally believe Reform is that best bet. UKIP do stand for great things. However, in the big scheme of things at this moment in time, and whilst, yes, as you quite rightly point out, there's years to go into a general election, I do think, of course, Reform are the best horse to back in this situation. Ulf, sorry I can't pronounce that name, I think it's German, but Ulf says, great news, it's time we moved away from the same two parties all of the time. And that's where you find the real change. There's always been these two parties dominating for many, many years, since the dawn of time, in sense of the start of time, in terms of when this was all created, democracy and all of these kind of things, they have dominated. And whilst there has been some in history in terms of good parties, again, recently, you can't trust the two traditional parties. So definitely Reform is needed within this country, and a different horse to bet on to deliver change. And definitely Reform look like they're working on doing that and delivering that. A lot of momentum going on at Reform at this moment in time. Back on UKIP, Paul Christopher says UKIP don't have the money or the resources, unfortunately. No, exactly, I echo that. In terms of what their message is, absolutely, I like it, but as you said, their Reform are definitely the best horse to bet act on in this moment in time and to back. And again, they look like they're creating real momentum, and it's just going to get better and better and better with Labour's failings and them taking off maybe some of their voters as well. As time goes on, people will wake up at the disaster they're currently living in with this Labour government. We'll start to see more people shy away from them, and then of course hopefully come over to Reform. For Reform to... Oh, here we go. For Reform to win, they need to appeal to Tory voters. Just can't decide if that's really what is needed. Again, that's a conversation to be had as well. You know, you're absolutely correct. People have always made that debate, you know, where they're going to be taking. Are you going to be taking them from the far left in terms of Labour? Look, some maybe probably will awaken. Again, there's a long time in terms of awakening that can happen, but there will still be people that vote Labour. Again, you can see 22% in the polls still now after all of this chaos that's happened over the last 8 months. There's still people that are going, yeah, they're doing a great job, and I would back them again if there was a general election today. So some people do need waking up, of course, but as you said there, I do believe Reform taking more from the Tories is always a good bet I think they're going on. But as you said there, that can create more problems in terms of what's going to be delivered, and if they're appealing to that audience, then is there going to be a little less on what's actually needed for a reform for the country? Are they going to withdraw their views a little bit? Are they going to push back on it, try and be a little bit more PC? Who knows? There's a debate to be had there, but yeah, good point by bringing it up. Let's have a little look here again. Let's have a little look here. Again, the Good Shepherd's Sheep says, all we can hope for is that the stragglers and the Conservatives come around, because that's what gave Labour the 20%. Yeah. No worries. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, lots of content here on the channel today. We've posted 2 really good videos. If you haven't already seen the Argentinian Prime Minister, Savage Keir Starmer, in this Labour government, then it's probably something that you want to watch. It's our most recent video that we've just posted. Go check it out. It's a really powerful statement coming from the Argentinian Prime Minister, actually. So I do urge you guys to go on and watch that previous video. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And of course, more content coming over the weekend. But that is some huge Reform UK news as a shock twist has emerged. Guys, I'm Dan. This is British Stand. And I will see you all next time. Take care. Look after yourself.